Welcome to this week's episode of K-Pop Korner, Europe's one and only show dedicated to the world of Korean music. Each week we bring you the best in music from South Korea. But this week, I take my hands off the steering wheel and firmly pass it over to Sam Hammington, the extremely talented actor and comedian who originates from Australia but now lives in South Korea. And the very popular chap took time out of his busy schedule to answer some of my questions. So it's great to welcome him to the show. But before we get into the interview, he's chosen 10 great songs for this week's playlist, and we're going to play you 5 of them right now. You'll get to hear songs by dynamic duo Zion.T, Primary, Garyon and Jinbo. This is the TRQ Network, and you're listening to TRQ Turquoise Radio, home of K-Pop Korner. I'm your host, Adam Riley, and I'll be with you for the next 60 minutes, playing some of the great songs that Sam chose and bringing you our exclusive interview with him. Enjoy the show.
Hi, I'm Sam Hammington. You're listening to K-Pop Korner with Adam Riley on Turquoise Radio.
동전한 입조차 쉽고 일 없어. 잠 못 들던 그때보다 조금은 일었어. 우리는 바보처럼 몸으로 부딪히면서 배웠어. 넘어질 때마다 일었어. 다시 고쳤었지 이력서. 눈부신 성공의 신바람. 잠시나마 불어봤던 휘파람. 한 곡도 퇴근하기 전에 그림자처럼 날 따라온 비바람. 시기 질투 기대 압박을 못 이긴 몇 번의 실축. 자만 나탐 속에 던졌던 말로 홈런을 맞는 실투. 다 끝 난가 같았지만 우리 앞길을 막지만 하고 외치며 마음을 다잡곤 했었지. 진짜 한치 앞도 안 보이는 가시밭길에서도 절대 유턴 없이 잘바라느리로 의지하면서 둘이 딱 붙어갔지. 비극 지금 기가 아프지만 지나고 보면 웃음 나오는 희극. 그래서 우린 지금을 참고 살아. 난 미쳤다 생각하면서 keep dreaming. 희망이란 끈 잡고 살아.
이 험한 현실에서 아직 붙잡아두고 싶은 꿈. 넘고 힘든 삶의 능선에서 때론 포기하고 싶은 꿈. 너와 천천히 오래 걷고 싶어 until the end of time. 지금 난 간절히 원해 한 조각의 peace of mind. 헤야오 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 헤야오. 이 도시에서 멍 때리는 것조차도 사치 버릇처럼 내가 나를 착취해. 경치 쪽은 딱딱해지고 의식에 붙은 각질. 모두 위맑은 땀 대신 날 적시는 건 진땀이네. 잠든 시간에도 문제들이 쌓여 눈 뜨자마자 결정해도 아직 익숙치 않은 타협. 시간을 도모 위에 식재료 썰듯 안 하면 하루는 순서가 뒤섞인 음식처럼 망가져. 지쳐도 경계하네 공허와 허무. 불안감 속에서 상기하네 15년 전 빈 털터리의 여유. 억울해도 납득돼 35년간의 필름이 어쩌면 수치 맞은 삶 건축된 우리의 이름이 길르니 어두워지지 않게 서로를 비판하고 세상을 보는 시선 삐딱하게. 얼굴에 피어난 주름은 당연해 마치 아파친 너 페이스. 평가는 다 끝난 다음에 핵인 인생의 레이스. 이 험한 현실에서 아직 붙잡아두고 싶은 꿈. 넘고 힘든 삶의 능선에서 때론 포기하고 싶은 꿈. 너와 천천히 오래 걷고 싶어 until the end of time. 지금 난 간절히 원해 한 조각의 peace of mind. 헤야오 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 헤야오.
뭐 사실 조금 때 같아. 같아 곧 내가 타고 다니는 건 달라지고 빨라졌지만 결국 가는 데인 같아 질리게 겪어도 사람 사랑 때문에 애 같아 이럴 때 보면 나도 아직 애 같아 Drop it
Baby baby 저기 있죠 남자들은 괜히 신이 나 있어 이 지겨운 일을 만나 그거 하나 알고서 신나 있어 신나 있어 Baby baby 나와 걸으는 더 가까이 붙어줘 사람들이 보게 해 우리가 어떤 사이인지 She's so bad, 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 감고 싶어 오늘은 괜히 묻고 싶어 네가 누구 여자인지 말해 Yeah, just call me baby I call you baby Yeah baby 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 I want you to say
You look better than time way. You know it. 발끝부터 머리 꼭대기까지 가 완벽한 신의 반주 크리스탈처럼 반짝이는 너 맞죠 저 남자들은 절대 풀지 못할 함수 플래시몹하듯 뜨거운 시선들이 모여 주변에 완전 난리 good 네 존재는 summer on smash 난 괜히 막 신이 나서 life is good Back baby 어디 갈까 baby 맛있는 거 baby 쇼핑래 두둑히 모셔놨어 지갑 속에 윈들 각듯이 모실게 최고의 미인을 내 옆구리에 꺼지지 않는 난방 마티니 느낌있게 한잔 못했지만 기분 좋은 상상으로 내일 아침 잊고 있을 거야 내 난방
감고 싶어 오늘은 괜히 묻고 싶어 네가 누구 여자인지 말해 Tell me baby, just call me baby I call you baby Yeah baby 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 I want you to say Party time 아는 사람 없네 지루해 앉아있기만 해 bartender 뭘 마셔야 해 그래 그걸 넣어줘 Cause it's red 음악 바뀌었네 uptempo 그래 또난 여전해 downtempo 술 안 마셔 그냥 색깔이 맘에 들어 골랐어 그때 널 봤어 빨간 스컬 빨간 립스틱 Guess I point 난 저기 서서 너들 보이는 멍청한 여자들 보는 달라 I see through you 넌 볼 듯 보이지 않아 안타까운 저라만 봤대 I see through you see through you I see through you see through you 요즘엔 되는 일 하나 없네 내일도 일하러 가야 돼 bartender 한 잔 독하게 줘봐 여기 크레딧 카드 줄게 친구들에게 한 잔씩 쫙 돌려줘봐 hey, hey. 한돈 초과
힙합은 절대 결코 다만 오직 단지 힙합은 절대 결코 다만 오직 단지 비트와 라임 나 기억해 우리가 첫 처음 본 날 하늘을 향해서 손을 뻗던 그 순간 그것은 외쳐봐 나 기억해 우리가 첫 처음 본 날 그대를 향해서 손을 뻗던 그 순간 그것은 외쳐봐 벌써부터 왜 내가 인생에 나고 자라 내 갈 길을 갈 뿐 그노가 알아 유일한 나간 코트 위에 지배자의 게임만 있다면 언제나 두렵지가 않아 오빠의 거래 역시 단번에 제끼네 제낄 후에 타이밍에 공을 다시 뺏기네 불현듯 들려오는 쿵쾅거리는 리듬과 함께 멈춰버린 기분 리듬은 운명이라 부르는 순간 숨을 쉴 수 없어 내 심장은 불타 인형같이 묶인 내 몸에 실을 끊어 몸이 뜨거워 식어있던 내 피가 끓어 날 가둔 상자가 열려서 내 손을 들어 힙합은 얼어있던 내 날개를 풀어 비트는 온전히 내 자신을 위해 그리고 펜을 잡은 내 친구를 위해 그날 이후 내 손에 어색하게 잡은 펜 역시 책과는 다르지만 왠지 밤을 새 너니 by nature 완으로 내리쳐 자연스레 빈 공책을 단 매일 펴 투팍과 함께 자유로운 날개 갱스타의 비트 열정의 날개 헤이 거기 친구 나와 우리 이름 찾아줘 리듬과 운율의 날개를 달아줘 기억해 우리가 첫 처음 본 날 하늘을 향해서 손을 뻗던 그 순간 그것은 외쳐봐 나 기억해 우리가 첫 처음 본 날 그대를 향해서 손을 뻗던 그 순간 그것은 외쳐봐 오해로 가득 찬 힙합에 대한 편견은 왜 시간이 지나면 사라진 선입견은 아마도 10년 뒤 우린 정말 멋질걸 힙합의 모든 이들이 우릴 향해 손을 던질걸 정말 멋진걸 힙합으로 그려진 이 미래 그게 무엇인들 막을 수 없는 내 기대 힘들게 버티고 있는 힙합의 모든 예술가를 위해 자부심 뽐내기 어느 하나 빠질 순 없어 네 이야기 뭘 감추려고 애써 맞지 않는 옷 답지 않는 노래 그게 아깝진 않으니 전부 자존심의 손에 고난과 역경 승리의 이유 그런 것들이 내가 내세울 수 있는 이름 간단히 말해 자신에게 쪽팔리면 끝 앞으로의 내 바람일 뿐 알아두길 자신을 찾아봐 하나 둘씩 마음을 따라가 난 알 수 있어 우리가 바라는 대로 음악을 대하며 매일 잘하는 태도 그대로 잘못된 오해를 풀고 똑바로 봐봐 이 문화에 대한 강한 자존심 하나 아무리 시간이 흘러도 절대 변치 않아 우리가 걸어온 역사에 대한 큰 사랑 알아 내가 바라는 건 힙합이 소리 하나 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 기억해 우리가 첫 처음 본 날 하늘을 향해서 손을 뻗던 그 순간 그것은 외쳐봐 기억해 우리가 첫 처음 본 날 그대를 향해서 손을 뻗던 그 순간 그것은 외쳐봐 기억해 우리가 첫 처음 본 날 하늘을 향해서 손을 뻗던 그 순간 그것은 멀어져 천천히 널 맴돌았지 어느새 너와 나 단둘이서 저녁에 마주보고 얘기해 몸을 맞대고서 주름처럼 눈으로 했던 날들 아침 해 뜰 때까지 전화기 붙잡고 Curious how you feel inside 내게만 말해줘 Don't know what's going on Oh I lose my mind When I see your eyes 말한 걸 지금 바로 해줘 내 입에 다 I'm so in love with this game I'm gonna win this game I'm so in love with this game I'm gonna win this game 내가 자꾸 끌려 내 마음이 너와 함께하면 행복해 처음부터 이미 정해진 사이 너와 난 어릴 때 그대로 멈춰있어 저녁에 마주보고 얘기해 몸을 맞대고서 주름처럼 눈으로 했던 날들 아침 해 뜰 때까지 전화기
해줘. Don't know what's going on. Oh, I lose my mind when I see your eyes. 알한 걸 지금 바로 해줘 내 입에 다. I'm so in love with this game. I'm gonna win this game. I'm so in love with this game. I'm gonna win this game. Love game. I said it's love game. Two can play this game every day, every sa. Two can play this game every night. It means la la la.
You just heard 5 of the tracks chosen by Sam Hammington, this week's special guest on K-Pop Korner. You heard music by dynamic duo Primary and Jinbo, as well as others. For the full track listing, be sure to head over to facebook.com or twitter.com/K-Pop Korner UK. That's Korner with a K. Without further ado, let's jump straight into this exclusive interview with Sam Hammington, the legendary Australian actor that's taken South Korea by storm. Be sure to give him a warm welcome. This is K-Pop Korner with your host Adam Riley, bringing the best of Korean music to the rest of the world across the internet right here on turquoiseradio.com. You're listening to K-Pop Korner with your host Adam Riley right here on turquoiseradio.com, bringing the best of Korean music to the rest of the world. Hi Sam, welcome to the show. It's great to have you as a special guest. So for our listeners, can you just start by introducing yourself? Let us know a little bit more about your background.
Hi, I'm Sam Hammington. To start off with a little bit about myself and my background, I'm originally from Australia and I've been living here in Korea for about 12 years now. I started out studying Korean at university, ended up moving here after graduating and got into the film and television industry. These days, Real Men on NBC, I'm doing that every week where we spend time in the Korean military. Beyond that, I'm just kind of doing a bit of this, a bit of that in terms of television, but prior to that, Gag Concert on KBS, Witch Hunter on JTBC, quite a few television shows that I've been involved in. And yeah, at the moment, I'm just really concentrating on Real Men and waiting to finish my military service.
Many people know you for your comedic side. Personally, as someone that's always known as a bit of a joker around the office, sometimes that label can be a little bit tiresome. Is it the same with you? Do you sometimes want people to take you more seriously, or are you not that bothered?
Yeah, I mean, one of the big problems for me is that people always want me to be funny. There's an expectation that I'm going to be funny, and it's difficult because by nature I'm a pretty serious kind of guy. I like to have fun, but by the same time, I also like to be serious, and I like to talk about serious issues. But people don't expect that from me, and yeah, it does get very tiresome at times. People come up to me and they're like, "Oh, you're not as funny as I expected you to be." It's like, well, I'm not working right now, I'm just relaxing with my friends. But yeah, sometimes it'd be nice for people to take me a little bit more seriously, and I'm hoping to be able to pursue that in the near future.
You're not averse to a little bit of acting, not just comedian stuff, with stints in the likes of Neighbours in the past, and even The Flying Doctors, we heard, amongst various other roles. Have you always had yearnings to do acting and to entertain people?
In terms of acting, I grew up in a household. My mum was the casting director of Neighbours for 20 years. So I've grown up around the entertainment industry in Australia. So for me, it was kind of normal to get into that. Took acting lessons when I was younger. As I got older, it wasn't something I wanted to do as a profession. It just kind of evolved for me here in Korea anyway. I kind of gave up on it in Australia and started studying and went to university and thought, get a 9-to-5 job. But I guess if it's something you've grown up around, it's something that's part of who you are, it's in your blood, it's something you can't really deny. And that for me is, I guess, why I kind of fell into it.
When did you decide to move over to Korea, and what made you take the plunge? Also, just how much of a life changer and culture shock was it?
I decided to move over to Korea when I was getting close to graduating from university. It was prior to the 2002 World Cup, which I really wanted to be here for. and I had a girlfriend at the time, and she decided that it would be too much of a stress for her to move to Australia because she didn't speak adequate English. So I kind of said, well, I'll go to Korea then, and it'd be easier for me to get a job in Korea than getting a job in Australia. I guess, yeah, I mean, in terms of life-changing, it was huge. I don't know what my life would have been in Australia, completely honest. It certainly was a huge life changer, culture shock. I think whenever you go anywhere in the world that's so different to the country you're originally from, it's always a huge culture shock. For me, I guess because I spoke Korean when I first got here, it kind of helped though, because Koreans were so accepting of that, about me trying to learn their language, learn their culture. But in terms of the entertainment industry, it's really tough because you're non-Korean to begin with. We're talking about the most homogenous society in the world. So to have a face that's not Korean is always kind of stifling in terms of prospects, in terms of what direction you can go. That for me is probably the biggest hurdle. If I was Asian looking, I could probably do more roles. But I think the longer I've been here, the more accepting Koreans have started to become of me. But also, it's a lot easier now for a non-Korean to live in Korea. When I first came here, it was really difficult finding an Italian restaurant. Now you can find restaurants from Ethiopia. Thai restaurants are everywhere. There's Turkish places all over the place. So it's become a lot more multicultural, but also a lot more cosmopolitan here in Korea, which makes it a lot easier for non-Koreans.
Last year we played a great song called Gulguk by This Boys. So can you tell us a little bit more about this project? What is This Boys?
This Boys started out as an online TV show. Myself and Cho Won-sok, a comedian that I was working with at the time, decided we were going to do an online video, kind of like a YouTube cycle of videos, and it was kind of talking about issues in the news and things that we were just wanted to get off our chest, and part of it was we were dissing people. And that kind of got a lot of interest online, and actually it almost got too much interest, and we were kind of like, oh, what do we do now? And something we'd always talked about is we'd both been interested in music, and the company that we were working with at the time said, well, what about the two of you, if you go off and kind of get together and bring us something back, we'll kind of print something for you in terms of, put out a digital single. So we went out and worked on that for must have been about 6 months. And so it was myself and Won-sok, and then we had Youngjup, who was producing the single Gulguk. And yeah, I mean, for us it was just a bit of fun. It's something we always wanted to do. We wanted to make music, and it's changed somewhat now. I mean, it's become less of a group, it's more of an affiliation of people. And it's kind of like a rotating roster. We can have different people come and perform under the same umbrella name. I mean, at the moment, Sam Ochidi, the guy from Ghana that works in broadcasting, he's kind of working under the banner with me. Won-sok's taking some time off at the moment. So, I mean, yeah, it's an interesting vibe to be able to work under that, because you can collaborate with people that you really think have talent, and we can bring new people in, and yeah, for us it's an opportunity just to have some fun. I mean, I'm from Dal Shabbat. That was an interesting situation because I was asked to be in their music video, and it was me being in the music video, and it was like, well, we won't accept payment for this, but in lieu of payment, can you be on our single? So I guess it's kind of the way things work, is you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of thing. And I mean, yeah, it was weird because can we really ask this? But our management company was like, yeah, let's go for it. And it worked out. So we're really thankful for her being involved in that. And, unfortunately I haven't been able to see her much since then. I think, we're both pretty busy. But Dal Shabbat came to the military when we were there filming. So I briefly got to see her. And yeah, I mean, it was a pleasure working with her as well.
Gulguk is pretty much the equivalent of gulp in English, right? Well, it certainly stands out from the crowd anyway. Was that the plan, to stand out from the waves of standard K-pop songs out there? And were you ever in two minds about a song that focused too much on drinking?
With the song Gulguk, yeah, it obviously gulp is what it goes for. We weren't going specifically for drinking alcohol anyway. I mean, it kind of came out in the summertime, so we were kind of thinking it was more of a, it could be anything really. Just trying to avoid the heat, stay cool. There was a bit of talk about it initially because if we went down one direction, it could be too much focused on alcohol, which means that it may not have even been able to be played on air because of restrictions in regard to that. I mean, to be honest, yeah, sure, we like to drink, but it wasn't something we were focusing on too much. It was just it was a song for the summer, something that it didn't have to be alcohol. It could just be ice water. It could be, milk. It could be a cold Coke, whatever it is you decide to drink. But it was just about having a fun time when the weather was hot and staying cool.
Naturally following on from that, what do you think about Hangover by Psy featuring Snoop D-O-G-G?
Psy with Snoop Dogg. In terms of picking an artist to do a collaboration with, great idea. Snoop Dogg and Psy. The problem is, personally, I think Snoop Dogg is just collaborating with almost anyone and everyone at the moment. He's got so much music out at the moment, it's hard to keep track of. But it also seemed that, unfortunately, when you have someone collaborating, I think you don't want them taking over the whole song. But it seemed like in Hangover, Snoop had more of an influence and even had more lyrics in the song than Psy did, which I think took away from it quite a bit. In terms of the concept, I mean, in Korea people drink a lot, and a lot of people struggle with hangovers. I'm not sure if that's exactly the image you want to portray to the rest of the world in a music video, but the music video was done really well. I think Psy's music videos are always really cool. I really enjoy watching them. Snoop Dogg, I think, Snoop Dogg probably needed a little bit less influence in the song though.
Speaking of drinking, I'm quite fond of somek. A little bit of soju, a little bit of mekju, and for listeners, that is beer with Korean spirits mixed together. But what is your favourite drinks combination? Or are you more of a straight-up shots guy?
Somek is amazing. That's something like, I don't drink soju. I know it's weird. I can't drink soju straight. So if friends are drinking soju, I'll drink the somek. But I'm just pretty straightforward. For me, it's more of a beer kind of drinker. If there's something else on the table, I'll drink it and work around it. But I don't get too fancy with my drinks. There are a lot of amazing sort of interesting cocktails out there from what I've seen, whether it's with an ice cream, with soju, and I mean, there's so many different things. I think my wife drinks soju with Coke. That's just her preference, but yeah, I like to keep it pretty simple.
Can we expect more forays into music? Either you going solo or being part of Dis Boys again? Cook was very catchy, so of course it'd be great to hear more.
In terms of music, yeah, I think, like I mentioned earlier, Dis Boys, the whole sort of concept of the group has changed quite a bit, so it's more of an umbrella. And, I mean, for the World Cup, I did a song with Sam Orchidi, and I think we may be working on recording something probably for later on this year, early next year. Maybe putting a couple of songs together and maybe doing some performances. It's a matter of time and whether or not, we're both kind of busy with our own schedules in terms of TV work and whatnot, and whether we can actually sit down and write some lyrics and then get into the studio and put some stuff together. That's going to be the biggest problem, but I think we'll definitely give it a go, and I think Dis Boys will probably keep evolving, and maybe we can throw some other members in the mix. Beyond that, personally, yeah, sure, I've just had a birthday recently, and I was completely unaware of it, but my wife bought me 2 turntables and a mixer because I was talking about I wanted to start DJing. So that's the next more immediate project for me in terms of music, is to kind of learn how to DJ, and then kind of, it's going to be more of a hobby, but if it becomes something else, that'll be great. I've got a passion for music, and to be able to play music that I enjoy and have other people enjoy it as well, that's going to be really cool. So yeah, that's something I want to be working on in the next 6 to 12 months. That's really immediate future for me.
Were you aware of K-pop before you moved to Korea? And do you either recall what your first song was, or what song really caught your interest?
Before coming to Korea, I mean, yeah, sure. I'd studied Korean at university, so I'd been watching Korean TV shows, Korean movies, hanging out with Korean friends, and one of the big things is they'd always show me Korean K-pop TV shows, like music shows. And I guess from that, I kind of started to get an appreciation for K-pop. For me, back then, it was groups like Uptown, Drunken Tiger, Yoo Seung-jun, of course, was huge then, Turbo. I mean, it was a wide variety. Im Chang-jong was another one that I really liked back then. So, yeah, I mean, Before coming to Korea, I think I had probably even a bigger interest in K-pop. After I got here, I just got caught up with so many different things. And I find that these days, there's just so many talented people out there. It's really difficult to keep up with performers and whatnot. It just seems like every week there's new artists coming out. And we're talking about they're more mainstream artists. Then you've got the artists that aren't on TV. So, I mean, yeah, I can't even imagine how many performing artists there are in Korea right now.
Can you name your favorite Korean group or solo artist?
Favorite group for me, dynamic duo in terms of guys is huge for me. And also I'm a big fan of Sistar, especially Hyorin. I just think they're great. Personally, I think she's incredibly attractive. She has an amazing voice. And yeah, I mean, they're great to watch. I'm a huge fan of Henry. Before he joined us on Real Men, I had no idea who he was. I've got to know him quite well personally. And I actually got really lucky. When we went to the Philippines on the flight back, he's like, I want you to listen to some stuff. And it was songs that he'd produced for his single album that came out recently. So I got to listen to that before it came out. I'm like, this music's really cool. I was so taken away with it. And then he gave me the album, and you know, it's stuff I just can't stop listening to. I think he's got a really interesting choice in music. I really like the beats that he's produced, and I really like his performance as well.
What comeback this year are you most anticipating?
Comeback performance this year, it's got to be Big Bang. I mean, Big Bang's huge. I mean, who could not like Big Bang? I think their music's really cutting edge, but they've also got that cool factor that everyone looks up to, and they're like, I want to be like Big Bang. I want to dress like Big Bang. I want to wear the same Air Jordans that G-Dragon's wearing, which I kind of dislike because I do like to wear Air Jordans, and whenever he wears something like that, they become really difficult to buy and really expensive. But Big Bang, when it comes to K-pop for me, they're at the top of the game, by far.
What can we expect from Sam Hammington further into the year and even going into 2015?
In terms of what I'm doing for the rest of the year, well, focusing on Real Men is an important thing. Probably looking at finishing that at the end of this year because we'll have done the full military service, at least for me and a few of the other members. In between that, I guess it depends on what opportunities I can take. Because of that schedule, it means it's really difficult for me to do certain things. I've filmed a couple of cameo roles in movies this year, so I'm not sure if they're going to get released this year or next year. And I was meant to have another role in a movie, but that's been pushed back because of scheduling conflicts. So just waiting for things to fall in place, really. It's kind of difficult to really sort of say, this is what's going to be happening, this is what's going to be happening, because the schedule for Real Men changes quite a bit, and there's no real regularity in terms of what day we go in, what day we get out, which means scheduling for other things makes it a little bit difficult. Hopefully bigger and better this year. I'm more focusing on next year, actually. This year, my commitments to that show have taken up what I consider the rest of the year, so we'll just see what happens. The only other thing, hopefully this year, that you can expect from me is news of my wife being pregnant, because that's something I'm working on very hard right now. Yeah, and it's not like they tell you in high school. It's not that easy.
There have been so many great collaborations so far, some not so good. What would be your ideal collaboration between a Korean artist or group and a Western artist or group?
Ideal collaboration. Recently, Dynamic Duo came out with AO, which they released with DJ Premier from Gangsta. Personally, for me, that was a huge collaboration. I think both great artists and, yeah, worked very well together. The song came out really good as well. Very, very, very happy with that. I guess in terms of other collaborations, I'd like to see Dynamic Duo do some more stuff with maybe some other producers. Kanye West, maybe. Yeah, it's really hard to tell. I think there are a lot of artists that would work well with Korean groups. It's just a matter of working out how they'd work well together. That's the hardest part. I think it's really tough to say which two artists would go well together, because unless they get in the studio and actually kind of work it out, it could just become a bit of a mess. I mean, Zion, Snoop Dogg, I think it worked in terms of profile, in terms of performance. I think that they could have worked it out better, or it would have been better if they had different artists performing together. A group I'd love to see do a collaboration, though, is Epic High. I think they'd go really well with a group from the States. In terms of which group, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but I think maybe if they got Kanye West to produce a track for them, that would work really well. Epic High has had so many different kind of changes in their career, like Kanye West, but also Tableau in terms of his ability to get emotional on a track, in terms of the lyricism. I think they'd pull it off.
More next.
We all know this one, but K-pop is more than just Gangnam Style. Join me, Adam Riley, on K-Pop Korner to listen to some of the best of Korean pop. Every Tuesday at 6 p.m. UK time and 1 p.m. EST. With the repeats Fridays 9 p.m. EST and Saturdays 2 a.m. UK time. Make sure that you tune in. Right here on Turquoise Radio. Okay, maybe we'll have a little bit more Psy, if you ask nicely.
I'm a motherfucker gentleman.
Girls' Generation, Psy, Tiara, After School, Big Bang, Super Junior, Wonder Girls, 2NE1, Girls' Day, TVXQ, and much more. We've got everything right here on K-Pop Korner, exclusive to Turquoise Radio, with your host, Adam Riley. Alright, Sam, you reach the heights of popularity and someone turns around to you and says, I want to make a video game about you. What sort of video game would you like to star in? What sort of character would you like to be? We are intrigued. We asked this question to a lot of people, and some of the answers are quite amusing. So we're quite intrigued what sort of game you'd like to be in.
A video game, that would be the coolest thing ever, but it's pretty straightforward. It's got to be a Grand Theft Auto kind of game, yeah. Personally, Grand Theft Auto series is my favorite series of games to play. I do like playing platformers, I like playing RPGs, I like playing all video games, but I want an open world game. And I want it to be even more open world than GTA. Like, there are so many buildings in those games that they won't let you in. I say, I want that whole world open, and you can do almost anything. I don't necessarily have to be the bad guy. I'd like to be a bit of a bad guy, but there's a story behind it, hard done by a guy who's trying to get out of a hole, and he's committing crimes with a good heart, I guess. It's the method behind the madness. There's a reason to it all. Not just a guy who's out for world control. Grand Theft Auto by far. That would be the coolest thing. Could you imagine? That would be the coolest thing ever, having a video game with you being the main character. And it needs to be one of those games where you can kind of work your character into your playing style. So you get points to be able to develop certain skills, or, if you'd like him to run faster, you could put more emphasis on that. I think that's really important, being able to develop a character into your own personal playing style, because it makes the game so much more enjoyable. And yeah, that would be the coolest thing ever. If you know anyone there, please reach out to them and suggest that, because that would be cool.
Okay, you have the privilege of choosing the playlist this week. I take my hands off the steering wheel and pass it over to you. So, thank you for doing that. Gives me a bit of a rest, actually. Can you at least give us a little bit of insight, though, into the songs that you chose?
In terms of the songs I've chosen, wow, it's kind of a selection of songs of artists that I know personally, but also music that I really enjoy listening to. And it's kind of a little bit different to the average, probably K-pop list of music, because some of these artists, listeners may not know who they are. I'm generally a big hip-hop fan, R&B, funk, soul, that kind of style of music. So a lot of these artists have taken those inspirations and made music with them. I mentioned earlier on Dynamic Duo with DJ Premier, that was huge, that song. And I ran into Cheja a few weeks before it was released. He's like, yeah, we've got something really cool coming up. You're really going to like it. And I was like, I really want to know more about this. And he's like, wow, you just have to wait and see. And it had to be the DJ Premier project. And I think they pulled it off really well. Zion.T, also he's under the same label as Dynamic Duo. Very, very impressive artist, got a great voice. Primary with See-Through, that's another. He's affiliated with them, I think same label as well. I kind of knew him before he became famous with the whole kind of underground crew of kids that were into hip-hop. And it's great to see him attain the level that he's at now. He's really talented in terms of production. Garion with good music, a huge fan of Garion, and as far as I'm concerned, one of the best hip-hop artists you'll find in Korea. MC Meta is probably the most respected MC in Korea as well. Great music. Jinbo with Love Game, another incredibly talented artist, incredibly underrated here as well, and I wish he got more opportunity to get on air and on television because the guy's voice is silky smooth. Sistar19 with My Boy, Bora and Hyorin on the same track. Yeah, I love Sister, and don't get me wrong, I think they're amazing. But Bora and Karin are my two favorites from the group, and this song. You want to feel like they're singing the song about yourself. Even though you know it's not true, you want to tell yourself that in the back of your head. Song Jigon with Tusaram, personally it's a really important song. He sang that song at my wedding here in Korea, and I actually got to know Jigon quite well, working with him on Witch Hunter, and asked him to perform at the wedding because my wife was such a fan. And he said sure, and it was great to have him, and whenever I hear it, it means something incredibly special to me. Chonggigon Soyu with Som, great song. It was the #1 song, you can't go wrong with that. Benzino with Aquaman, another really talented MC here in Korea. And K.will with Love Blossom. Have to give a shout out to K.will. Worked with him on Real Men, and my wife's a big fan as well. If anything, I'm really sorry that I couldn't have played a Henry track. 10 songs is tough. If you had have given me 20, I still would have missed out on songs to put in a track list. So yeah, that's really, really difficult. But hopefully there are songs that you enjoy. Their songs, personally, I love them all. I think they're all great, and hopefully you do too.
And finally, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for being a special guest, and a very special guest indeed. It's been great listening to your answers, and I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy, super hectic schedule to answer them all. Even the really weird ones, like the video game one. So, if you want to give a shout out to any friends, family, or just your loyal fans out there, please do so now.
For any fans out there listening, I just want to say thank you for appreciating everything I do. Thank you for being a fan. Thank you for showing the support and the love. I always try my hardest, and I'm going to try my hardest and keep continuing to try harder and harder. And hopefully you'll continue to support me. And if that's the case, all I can say is thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means so much to have a fan base and a support base of people out there who are cheering you on and respecting what you do. And without that, it's really difficult to work. But with that, it's so much easier because I'm doing my job for the fans. It's all about you guys. It's about making you guys laugh, about making your day a little bit easier. Just want to say thank you, and just keep showing the support, not only for myself, but for everyone in the industry. I think K-pop, but also, you know, the whole drama, television, everything here, the movies. It's amazing what they're producing here in Korea, and hopefully we can see more of the recognition that these products deserve overseas. I think the content that's being made here in Korea right now is amazing. So, thank you again. One love. Thanks, guys.
Thanks once again to Sam for taking the time to do that interview. What a great one it was indeed, with some really fun answers. This is a special episode of K-Pop Korner with the playlist chosen by this week's special guest, Sam Hammington. We played 5 of his 10 songs at the beginning of the show, and we're going to see out the show with the other 5 right now. You'll hear music from Sistar19 with My Boy, Song Si-kyung, Soyu and Junggi-go, Benzino, and finally K.will with Love Blossom. Again, for the full track list, head over to facebook.com or twitter.com/K-Pop Korner UK, where you can get more details about the show, as well as some various news updates throughout the week. Don't forget you can listen to K-Pop Korner, Europe's one and only radio show dedicated to the world of Korean music, every Tuesday, 1 PM Eastern, 6 PM in the UK, with a repeat on Fridays, 9 PM Eastern in the US, Saturday morning 2 AM in the UK, which is 10 AM in Japan and South Korea. Or for our Indonesian listeners, it's 8 in the morning. Have an amazing week and enjoy these last 5 songs chosen by this week's special guest, Sam Hammington. We wish him all the best with his plans, and hopefully we'll be hearing more about a baby Sam in the near future. Have a great week. Catch you all again soon.
Let's go. Sistar, baby, stop breaking my heart. Oh no, you hurt me. No more next time. I hope you got that boy. Hey girls, it's gonna be alright. Hey boys, better make it right. Hey girls, we got your back. Got your back. Got your back. 말하지 않아도 알 수 있다 했잖아. 내 맘 어떤지 넌 알고 있겠지. 그래서 믿고 참고 기다렸지. 혼자 두지 않겠다고 했잖아. 약속했었지. 손가락 걸었지. 그런데 왜 또 거짓말을 해. 사랑한다
사람 하나의 그림자 눈 감으면 잡힐 듯 아련한 행복이 아직 저기 있는데 상처 입은 마음은 너의 꿈마저 그늘을 드리워도 기억해줘 아프도록 사랑하는 사람이 곁에 있다는 걸 때로는 이 길이 멀게만 보여도 서글픈 마음에 눈물이 흘러도 모든 일이 추억이 될 때까지 우리 두 사람 서로의 쉴 곳이 되어주리 너와 함께 걸을 때 어디로 가야 할지 길이 보이지 않을 때 기억할게 너 하나만으로 눈이 부시던 그날의 세상을 여전히 서툴고 또 부족하지만 언제까지나 네 곁에 있을게 캄캄한 밤 길을 잃고 헤매도 우리 두 사람 서로의 등불이 되어주리
가끔씩 나도 모르게 짜증이 나 너를 향한 마음은 변하지 않았는데 혹시 내가 이상한 걸까 혼자 힘들게 지내고 있었어
텅 빈 방 혼자 멍하니 뒤척이다 TV에는 어제 본 것 같은 드라마 잠이 들 때까지 한 번 더 울리지 않는 핸드폰을 들고
요즘 따라 내 거 힘든 내 거 아닌 내 거 같은 너
네 거 힘든 네 거 아닌 네 거 같은 나
이게 무슨 사이인 건지 사실 헷갈려
무뚝뚝하게 굴지만
연인 힘든 연인 아닌 연인 같은 너
나만 볼 듯 애매하게 날 대하는 너
때론 친구 같다는 말이 괜히 요즘 난 듣기 싫어졌어
매일 아침 너의 문자에 눈을 뜨고
하루 끝엔 네 목소리에 잠들고파 주말엔 많은 사람 속에서 보란듯이 널 끌어안고 싶어 요즘 따라 내 거 힘든 내 거 아닌 내 거 같은 너
네 거 힘든 네 거 아닌 네 거 같은 나
때론 친구 같다는 말이
Yeah, it's me 24, 26 girl Yeah, my life like a fish Damn Yeah 어항 속에 갇힌 고기들보다 어쩌면 내가 좀 더 멍청할지 몰라 너가 먹이처럼 던진 문자 몇 통과 너의 부재중전화는 날 헷갈리게 하지 너의 미모와 옷 입는 스타일로 밀어보았을 때 너의 어장의 크기는 수족관의 스케일 단지 너 하나 때문에 경쟁은 무척 험하고 또 아득해 I wanna be your boyfriend I wanna be 생선 허나 너에겐 늘 누군가가 옆에 있어 이럴 때 stroll 내 이미지를 위해선 그저 so cool 한 척하는 게 최선 힘을 알기에 I said have a good time 그날 밤 업데이트 된 너의 favorite 담벼락에 여전히 물고기들이 hot 당연히 나도 그중 나
하루 종일 너란 바닷속을 항해하는 나는 Aquaman Hey 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 I'm rolling in the deep inside of you 너의 여장은 너무 깜깜해 Hey
손에 꼽을 정도로 아주 가끔씩 엉뚱한 시간에 넌 내가 어딘지 묻지 어리긴 네 마음이지라는 본심을 속이며 차분하게 말했지 지금 심상치 않은 징조 심장은 보다 신속 혹시 모를 그 만남이 꿈처럼 이루어질 수도 있을 것 같은 느낌이 들어 지금 너의 위치가 어디든 Let's bring it on girl 통장 잔고는 가까스로 위기 모면 입으로 또 이미 정했어 목걸이는 chrome heart
입안에서 바람 맛이 달콤한 아침 새하얀 이불 위로 닿는 햇살이 좋아 설레는 전화벨 소리 그대인가요 설탕 한 스푼 담긴 소리 Hello Hello 이 거리 위에 나의 가슴 속에 왜 이리나 들뜨나 몰라 팝콘 같은 꽃잎이 저 높이 날아요 사랑한단 말하면 난 정말 녹아요 오늘 같은 바람이 불면 하루 종일 미치겠어 그대가 아른아른거려서 향기로운 봄바람이 나풀거리고 두 볼에 앉은 햇살마저 완벽한걸요